Ministers Malik Samaravikrama and Kabir Hashim questioned by Presidential Commission of Inquiry. Litrogas chairman Shalila Munasinghe further remanded over Taiwanese bank fraud. Cabinet approves National Audit Bill. Coast of Vellavatta on the brink of destruction caused by human action.
A very good evening and welcome to a brand new edition of Primetime News, coming to you live from our Newsfirst studios in Colombo. I'm Arundhati Muttanayaka.
Well, I'm Shahin Ram Party. Well, more and more revelations continue to be made at the Presidential Commission of Inquiry on the issuance of bonds in its investigations on the 2015 Central Bank bond scam. To give us a special report on today's proceedings at the Commission, we now cross over to the newsroom where Faraz Shaukat Ali is standing by with Zulfiq Farzan. Faraz, it's over to you.
And thank you, Shaheen. Good evening, and we're live from the Newsfirst newsroom here in Dawson Street, and I'm joined by Zulfiq Farzan, who's been diligently following the proceedings at the Presidential Commission of Inquiry into the issuance of bonds by the Central Bank. Good evening, Zulfiq.
Good evening, Faraz.
Today was a rather spectacular and very special day. We had two very powerful ministers who were summoned to the Presidential Commission of Inquiry by the commissioners, who are led, of course, by Justice K.T. Chittrasiri. What was the significance of the arrival of these two very senior ministers and also senior members of the United National Party?
Well, for us, the ministers in question, Malik Samaravikrama and Kabir Hashim, were summoned before the Presidential Commission of Inquiry because evidence was led by previous witnesses that they were among those present at a breakfast meeting that had taken place on the 26th of February 2015, which is one day before the controversial bond auction took place at the Central Bank. Now, at this meeting, when the evidence was led between these two ministers, Malik Samaravikrama at that time was not a minister. He had taken part in this meeting as a senior advisor to the Prime Minister. Kabir Hashim, who is also the General Secretary of the United National Party, attended as the Minister of Highways and Investment Promotion. And
Zulfiq, what did they, do we know what was exactly discussed at this meeting?
Well, for us, first of all, they confirmed there was a breakfast meeting, and then they also confirmed that among those present with them was the former Minister of Finance, Ravi Karunanayaka, personnel from the Central Bank, personnel from the Treasury, and personnel from the Road Development Authority. Now, they said this meeting was centered around a requirement that the Ministry of Highways has uncovered as unsettled bills for road construction work that had commenced during the Mahinda Rajapaksa administration. Right. And that sum was 18 billion rupees. And Kabir Hashim, the minister, had said the ministry has 3 billion rupees, and they had written to the Treasury requesting for the additional 15 billion immediately so they can settle these bills, and following discussions, only this breakfast meeting had transpired. I
see. And so we had 15 billion and we had 18 billion, and but the Prime Minister, speaking to Parliament on the 17th of March 2015, when he made a special statement on the matter of the bonds, said there was only a requirement of 15 billion rupees. Let's hear what the Prime Minister had to say at the time.
අදාළ පසුබිම පිළිබඳව කරුණු මම ඉදිරිපත් කරන්න. මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ පාලන සමයේදී මහා මාර්ග අමාත්‍යාංශය විසින්
Let me begin with the background of events. The Ministry of Highways of the Mahinda Rajapaksa administration made commitments and signed contracts totaling over 100 billion rupees without any monetary allocation. Funds were needed urgently to meet these payments. This was the issue. We had to make payments for work that was done, work that is ongoing, and work that we have entered agreements into. We decided to pay for the work already done at a later date and make payments for ongoing work and what are due to commence. We cannot collect 100 billion rupees at once. During a meeting on the 26th of February attended by the Minister of Finance, Minister of Highways, Secretary to the Ministry of Finance, the Governor of the Central Bank and the Deputy Governor, it was decided that 15 billion rupees would be required urgently. By then the Central Bank had already advertised the issue of 1 billion rupees in Treasury bonds.
ඒ වන විටත් රුපියල් බිලියන 1ක් භාණ්ඩාගාරක බැඳුම් කර නිකුත් කිරීම වෙනුවෙන් මහා බැංකුව දැන්වීම පළ කර තිබුණා.
And that's what the Prime Minister Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe had to say in Parliament on the 17th of March 2015. Now then, Zulfiq, was there any discussion at this breakfast meeting about an auction or the methodology of raising the requirement of 15 billion?
Well, for us, when these two ministers were questioned today by the commissioners themselves, they said there was no such discussion about the Treasury bond auction on the 27th of February or any discussion about the issuance of Treasury bonds.
I see. And it's very clear from the Prime Minister's statement in Parliament that it was 15 billion that was the requirement. So why, Zulfiq, is there this sudden requirement of 75 billion rupees? Where does this requirement manifest itself from?
Well, for us, it all transpired when Arjuna Mahendran's council earlier this year produced a brand new undated letter to the Commission, which he claimed was proof that this breakfast meeting had taken place, and the requirement that was decided was 75 billion rupees. Now, this undated letter, according to Mr. Arjuna Mahendran, the former governor of the central bank, he obtained it in June 2016 in order to produce it to COPE from then Finance Minister Ravi Karunanayake. He wanted to show to COPE that there was a meeting and there was a discussion and a decision to raise 75 billion rupees in 1 month. Now, when Ravi Karunanayake was summoned before the Presidential Commission of Inquiry, he was questioned on this letter as well. At that point, Ravi Karunanayake said that he issued this letter upon the request of Arjuna Mahendran so that he can produce it to COPE. Ravi Karunanayake also said that there was a meeting on the 26th of February 2015, which he also attended, and there was a discussion and decision on 75 billion rupees.
But that's sort of contradicted by the others at the meeting, including Mr. Malik Samarik and Mr. Kabir Hashim, that they say that there was a requirement only 15 billion. So it appears that Mr. Karunanayake and Mr. Mahendran are talking about 75 billion. Could they be talking of some other meeting?
Well, we don't know what meeting they're talking about, but these ministers were questioned about the breakfast meeting that took place on the 26th of February 2015. But interestingly, there was a witness by the name of S.R. Artigala. He's the Deputy Secretary to the Treasury. He said something interesting. He said that there was no additional cash requirement for February 2015. We can have a look at the report that we filed on the 17th of July 2017 when S.R. Artigala was giving evidence. The Deputy Secretary of the Treasury, S.R. Artigala, submitted his evidence via an affidavit. He said the Secretary or the Minister of Finance did not inform the Treasury of any urgent government cash requirement for the month of February 2015. The requirement of Rs 75 billion, as mentioned in a letter bearing the signature of then Finance Minister Ravi Karunanayake, was not indicated to the Treasury. It must be noted that this letter, produced earlier by Arjuna Mahendran's lawyers, was challenged by the state for not indicating a date or to whom it is addressed. Artigala said if there is an urgent cash requirement, that would be indicated in the respective monthly cash flow requirement. The witness stated that urgent requirements of smaller amounts would be addressed using the OD facility with the Bank of Ceylon or People's Bank or via the issue of Treasury bills. He went on to say that the requirement of such a magnitude would have to be raised via Treasury bonds or Sri Lanka development bonds. In the event of an urgent need of Rs 75 billion, the Ministry of Finance must make an official request from the Treasury, and thereafter the Treasury would communicate it to the central bank. Thereafter, the cash flow requirement for the corresponding month will be revised and sent to the Public Debt Department. Artigala testified that a minister never directly tells a governor of a cash flow requirement. For February 2015, the debt service or the amount of money required to make payments was 33.64 billion rupees. The Public Debt Department had borrowed a total of 60.91 billion rupees, of which 28.38 billion rupees was used to retire Treasury bills. It came to light that the balance for the month of February was 8.28 billion rupees. The witness said, therefore, there was no shortfall in the cash flow requirement.
Now then, Zulfiq, that letter, this undated, unreferenced letter, which talks of 75 billion as opposed to 15 billion, they said that this was this appeared rather crisp. It seemed noticeable for its crispiness. How was that achieved?
Well, Mr. Arjuna Mahendan was questioned about that when he was giving evidence, and the answer to that was when he obtained it from Ravi Karunanika in June 2016. He knew that this was a very important document, so he kept it inside his safe under an air-conditioned environment. That was his answer to the crisp nature of that undated document.
This was a letter that is to do with affairs of state, but it was in his private safe.
Yes.
In an air-conditioned environment.
Exactly.
Well, I say. Now then, there's another thing that happened today, and a very important question was posed to these two ministers by the commissioners, and that was, and what was it, that question?
Well, for us, the same question to both the ministers was, during the tenure of this whole issue, did Perpetual Treasuries Limited, any company of the Perpetual Group, a company of Sri Lanka Group, Arjun Aloysius, Jeffrey Aloysius, or any of their family members give any monetary funding or payment to the United National Party? Malik Samaravikrama and Kabir Hashim both said that those companies and individuals did not make any monetary fund or a payment to the United National Party.
So no donations were made by any of these people to the United National Party?
According to these two ministers, the chairman and the general secretary, no donations had been made to the UNP.
And one more matter before we hand it all back to downstairs. What about Steve Samuel and the to-do files? What's that all about?
Interesting question for us. Steve Samuel, the personal assistant to Arjun Aloysius, was summoned to appear before the commission at 11 this morning. However, his lawyer said that he was rushed to hospital this morning following a chest pain, according to what his lawyers had to say. Now, in addition, notices had been issued on Arjun Aloysius and Jeffrey Aloysius to submit these so-called to-do files that had reference to Steve Samuel's mobile phone as well. And the main reason is these files have reference to RK and AM. So the commissioners want to know who are the subjects of RK and AM.
And are these soft files or they hard files? What are they? Do we know?
We don't know whether they are soft files or hard files, but there is clearly a reference in Steve Samuel's mobile phone that these files do exist.
Zulfiq Fawzan, thank you very much for that excellent work. Thank you, and we're going to hand you over back to Arundhati, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Faraz, for that comprehensive analysis. Taking a look at another one of our headline-making stories, Shalila Munasinghe, who was removed from his position of Executive Chairman of Litrogas earlier today, and Janaka Namuni, who were arrested in connection to $2.1 million being stolen from the Far Eastern International Bank in Taiwan, were remanded till the 25th of this month.
The two suspects were produced before Fort Magistrate Lanka Jayaratne. The CID informed that charges have been filed against them through the Money Laundering Act and the Computer Crime Act. The incident came to light after the Taiwanese Criminal Investigations Bureau commenced an investigation into an incident where the computers in the Far Eastern International Bank were hacked into and money was transferred into accounts in several other countries, including Sri Lanka. The owner of the account in the Taiwanese bank that was hacked into was present at the courtroom today when the case was taken up. A team from Interpol and a group of officials from the FEIB are to arrive in the country today. It was revealed in court today that a sum of $2.1 million was transferred into the account of the first suspect in the case, J.C. Namuni, through the Bank of Ceylon in New York, USA. The money had been withdrawn twice and the initial withdrawal had been 30 million rupees. In addition to these two suspects, investigations have revealed that there are two Indian nationals who are involved in the incident. The CID informed that investigations have begun into the other suspects as per the evidence provided by the two initial suspects. Janaka Namuni, the first suspect in the case, is a dual citizenship holder of England and Sri Lanka. The former chairman of Litrogas, Munasinghe, who is the second suspect in the case, is a British citizen according to the CID. The CID informed court that his visa will expire on the 28th of December. The CID further said Munasinghe possessed a Sri Lankan NIC and a bank account in Sri Lanka. The 30 million rupees that was initially withdrawn had been divided among several people at a hotel in Colombo too and at the office building of Shalila Munasinghe. The two Indian nationals had been present at both these instances and they had left the country with 15 million rupees. The court granted permission to the CID to investigate the electronic devices that were allegedly used for the hacking. The court also granted permission to the CID officers to record statements of the suspects when required with the permission of the prison officials. The Ministry of Public Enterprises Development has issued a release stating the duties and responsibilities that were vested in Shalila Munasinghe as the executive chairman of Litrogas have been suspended. The release states that Secretary to the Ministry of Public Enterprises Development, Ravindra Hewa Vitharna, had informed Hemaka Amarasuriya, the chairman of Sri Lanka Insurance, the principal shareholder of Litrogas, regarding the decision taken by the ministry. The release also calls for the appointment of an acting executive chairperson. Subject Minister Kabir Hashim has instructed the Secretary to the Ministry to assist all investigations that are being carried out involving Litrogas and Bank of Ceylon, and has also called for an investigation at the ministry level. The release further notes that Shalila Munasinghe was serving as the chairman of Litrogas when the company came under the purview of the Ministry of Public Enterprises Development, adding that the appointment was made under the 100-day government. Sri Lanka Insurance, the principal shareholder of Litrogas, came under the purview of the Ministry of Finance under the 100-day government, and the subject minister at the time was Ravi Kannanayaka.
Now, questions were raised during the cabinet media briefing regarding foreign nationals being appointed to top government positions.
මේ වගේ ආණ්ඩුවේ මහ බැංකුවට පත් කරපු අධිපතිතුමාගේ ප්‍රශ්න තිබ්බා මේ ආණ්ඩුව වලට කවුද මේව පත් කරන්නේ ඔබතුමන්ලා මේ පත් වීම කරද්දී ඊට වඩා හොයලා බලන්නේ නැද්ද මේ පුද්ගලයෝ මොකද මේ චෝදනාව එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂ ආණ්ඩුවට එල්ල වෙන්නේ.
They looked into it and brought people from abroad saying they were great.
දැන් මොකක්ද එමතුමා දැන් මේ පත් වීම සම්බන්ධයෙන් දැන් මේ එකක් නෙවෙයි දැන් කිහිපයක් නෙවෙයි. දැන් මොකක්ද ගන්න ක්‍රියාමාර්ගය ඒ පත් කරපු පුද්ගලයෝ දැන් මේ ආණ්ඩුවේ නායකයෝනේ පත් කරන්නේ නැත්තේ.
It's only two people.
ඒ දෙක කමන්නේ නැද්ද කියන්නේ?
No, it is an issue.
ප්‍රශ්නයක් තමයි.
දැන් කැබිනට් මණ්ඩලය මේ පිළිබඳව ඔබතුමාලා කතා කරනවද? මේ දැන් මේ සිද්ධිය සම්බන්ධයෙන් එහෙම සාකච්ඡාවක්
No.
කරේ නැහැ.
Time for a short commercial break. Stay with News First. We will be right back.
Welcome back. The 6 individuals, including MP Namal Rajapaksa, who were arrested in connection to the recent protests in Hambantota, have been remanded till the 16th of this month. The suspects were remanded after they were produced before Hambantota magistrate Manjula Karnaratne yesterday. Parliamentarians Namal Rajapaksa, D.V. Chanaka and Prasanna Ranavira and Western Provincial Councillors Upali Kodikara and Ajit Prasanna were informed to arrive at the Hambantota police yesterday to record a statement. The statement was to be recorded in connection to the protest held in Hambantota on the 6th of this month, disregarding a court order. The group, including MP Namal Rajapaksa, arrived at the police station around 7:30 p.m. Police media spokesperson SP Ruan Gunasekara said the suspects were arrested after the statements were recorded. The group were then produced before Hambantota magistrate Manjula Karnaratne last night, and an order was issued to remand the suspects till the 16th of this month. On the 6th, the incidents that transpired in Hambantota were illegal and disruptive. They disobeyed a court order and caused damages to public property as well. Police officers suffered injuries. They were obstructed from carrying out their duties. 34 suspects have been arrested and remanded in connection to the incident. A group of individuals obstructed the road to the Tangol prison by setting fire to tires. Steps were taken to clear the road using a number of police teams and the special task force.
Another phase of the Samata 7 program to present housing loans took place in Kegol today. 606 beneficiaries were presented with loans to the tune of 85.6 million rupees at the program presided over by Minister Sachit Premadasa. During the event, the minister made the following remarks. The largest theft took place at the Samurdhi. The largest looting of public property took place in the Samurdhi. The Samurdhi had to pay for people in power to enjoy helicopter rides. This is the money allocated for the poor people. The person who steered the Samurdhi, Basil Rajapaksa, was a reason for the defeat of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa. Basil Rajapaksa is the main cause for Mahinda Rajapaksa to retreat home after losing all position. Basil Rajapaksa serving as national organizer of the joint opposition is a benefit for us. It will extend the lifetime of the government. The poor man's money in the Samurdhi was stolen and spent in order to send one person to temple trees for a 3rd term. That is how the funds were misused. Therefore, I wish the very best for Basil Rajapaksa to not only remain as the national organizer of the joint opposition, but to also become its leader.
Cartoonist Asank Laduaheti gives us his interpretation of tonight's illustrated news.
President Maithripala Sirisena advised that not giving prominence to the environment could lead to destruction in the future. The President expressed these views during the National Tree Planting Day celebrations held in Deltota, Kandy.
By 2050, finding drinking water will be the biggest issue faced by the people of the world. Today there are many places in the country without access to drinking water. A 1.5-year drought has been one of the main reasons for this. Everyone knows that this beautiful mountainous landscape is facing environmental destruction on a grand scale. Some people say flooding and droughts came about after our government came into power. There were droughts during each government. Every government has had to deal with flooding. During my lifetime, I know how many droughts and scenes of flooding we have faced. We stand committed to ensure the survival of all flora and fauna. A book on conservation of catchment areas was also presented to the President at the occasion. Under the Vanaropa National Tree Planting Program, fruit plants were also distributed among school children.
The much-delayed audit bill has gone through over 22 amendments so far, but has failed to gain the support of the Cabinet until now. The National Audit Bill was granted approval yesterday by the Cabinet.
We have focused our attention on the National Audit Bill. We have taken into consideration the proposed amendments submitted by the Cabinet Subcommittee headed by Minister Dr. Sarath Amunugama. Thereby, we have decided to vest surcharge powers or the power to charge a government servant for a lost cause to the state in the hands of the Secretary to the Ministry. Steps will also be taken to broaden the Surcharge Appeals Committee by including 2 public servants from the administration and engineering sectors. The Cabinet of Ministers has granted approval to proceed with this amended bill. The Audit Commission has requested that the surcharge powers be taken away from the Ministry Secretary. However, it has once again gone there. Doesn't this impede the actions of the Commission when looking into malpractices at that level? They still have the power to investigate. How can we run everything by vesting all the powers in one commission?
Sri Lanka is famed the world over as a holiday destination with beautiful golden beaches. Unfortunately, the coastal areas of the country are fast becoming a garbage dump, making Sri Lanka one of the world's top polluters of the ocean. News First Stephanie Lazarus reports from Vallavatta, Colombo.
Well, tourists around the world come to Sri Lanka just to wade their feet in the beautiful sandy beaches of the country. But what has really become of our coastline? As you can see, garbage dumped all over. The garbage here is not just garbage that's dumped on the shore by the people directly, but this is a garbage that is dumped elsewhere in rivers, waterways around the country, and it's washed ashore by the beach itself onto the coastline. But who is really responsible for this? Let's find out on this special report. It wasn't just a regular Wednesday afternoon on the Vallavatta beach. Today we had an appalling sight of garbage grimly decorating the white sandy beaches of one of the busiest beaches in Colombo. Sri Lanka is known for its pristine white sandy beaches, especially in the south and eastern parts of the island, to a point where beaches remain the main tourist attraction. However, shores off Vallavatta, Modara and Crow Island in the western parts of the country remain rather neglected. Debris and plastic that are collected as a result of sea current and are washed ashore onto these shores make it an unpleasant sight. In the year 2015, the Marine Environment Protection Authority released a report detailing the garbage that is seen at the coastal belt of the country according to the garbage density that is accumulated. Interestingly enough, 250 refrigerators and washing machines were seen washed ashore off the Sea of Jaffna in 2015, while cutlery like even forks, 587 of them were washed ashore along the Trincomalee shores. According to statistics, 80% of the marine pollution comes from the land. Sri Lanka dumps 1.59 million metric tons of plastic or polythene into the sea each year. Sri Lanka waters home to 180 species of fish, 5 species of turtles, and 30 species of marine mammals. Against this backdrop, Sri Lanka is ranked the 5th largest plastic polluter of the ocean. If Sri Lanka does not act fast and soon, marine life will gradually be destroyed and the beaches turned into a garbage.
A Bahraini national died today after drowning in the Sandun Nalla in Ketulgala.
The deceased has been identified as 40-year-old Abdul Sahara Abdul Hussein. He had arrived at the Sandun Nalla this morning along with 3 other foreign nationals in order to climb the waterfall. Police suspect the victim may have died after drowning in the waterfall. The remains of the victim have been taken to the Avisavella Base Hospital for the post-mortem inquiry.
News coming away on the other side of this short commercial break. Stay with News First.
Welcome back. The first author reveal of the world-famous Fairway Galle Literary Festival 2018 was held in Colombo today. The festival will be hosting over 30 authors from Sri Lanka and around the world and will take place from the 24th to the 28th of January 2018. Yes FM, Legends 96.6 and TV1 are the official broadcast partners. An impressive lineup of internationally acclaimed authors will be participating in this, the 9th year of the festival. During the 4 days, the authors take part in workshops, panel discussions, debates, poetry readings, literary lunches and dinners. Festival events take place at historical landmark locations, boutique hotels and private properties in and around the UNESCO World Heritage Site of Galle Fort, making it an impressive cultural experience that celebrates literature and the arts.
Over the years, the Fairway Galle Literary Festival has created an identity for itself based on its content, diversity, organization and unique location. Apart from the English literature authors, artists, we also reach out to children, students, teachers and professors who would otherwise be unable to attend the festival. I hope each and every one of you finds something extraordinary at the Fairway Galle Literary Festival in January 2018.
The Galle Literary Festival has become the favorite part in the story of Sri Lankan literary festivals, I'm sure we'll all agree. MTV, MBC and Newsfirst, Sri Lanka's leading and most dynamic media network for the past 2 decades, has been actively involved in promoting the arts and giving an opportunity to youth to showcase their talent. When you think about it, it's the young novelists, scientists, philosophers, artists and performers who inspire us every day to shape what the world will be in the future.
The Fairway Galle Literary Festival was the first ever international literary festival to be held in Sri Lanka, founded by adventurer hotelier Jeffrey Dobbs in 2007.
Leader of the National Freedom Front, MP Vimal Weerawansa, met with President Maithripala Sirisena this evening. Weerawansa was accompanied by several NFF representatives when visiting the President at 5 this evening at the President's official residence. They left the premises after 7:30 p.m. We leave you with a completed illustration of tonight's news from cartoonist Asanga Ladwaheti. Good night. Well, that is a wrap of Primetime News. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Shajan Rampati. Good night and take care.